Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 3, and today we're taking a look at the 1977 AMC Pacer X. Now this is a car that is available in the latest Forza event as a barn find rumour. Look at my previous video to see where to find the car. And yeah, this car started production in 1975, with it ending in 1979, with 280,000 of them made, which does seem impressive, until you realise that over half of those cars were made in the first year. So yeah, the sales did drop off dramatically in the subsequent years, which is why it only has a 4-year run of vehicles being made, which is not surprising when you consider the kind of problems that this car had, not just in terms of quality and reliability, but also in terms of other areas, which I'm going to get into in a minute. So yeah, it was supposed to be a compact, economical car, which, if you keep those two words in mind when we go through this review, is the reason why this car pretty much fell flat after the first year. So yeah, in terms of the compact area of this car, well, yeah, it doesn't look like the largest car ever, and despite being apparently a small car, there's plenty of room in the interior, and that's because they designed the car around 4 passengers and then built around it, which seems sensible. Passengers and occupants of the car are the people you want to be transporting in your vehicle, so it only makes sense to make your vehicle around them. But considering the fact that this car is wider than a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow by nearly 6 inches, and is actually longer than a current time Ford Cortina, then it hardly comes across as a compact car. Now, obviously, compact cars in America are different to European or Japanese cars, but yeah, it's still hardly a compact car. Yes, it might be smaller than other cars from the 70s in America, but that's hardly saying anything when you consider the likes of the Continental and the other giant cars from those times were still around. So yeah, any kind of compact car is going to seem smaller than those, but compared to European and Japanese cars, it's really rather large. And yeah, that obviously affects the economy side. Larger car, more weight. In fact, weighs 3,177 pounds, and apparently there are versions that weigh even more than that. Apparently, during my research, there was a car that they said weighed nearly 3,500 pounds, which is a hell of a lot for a car that's not only supposed to be a compact car but an economy car. And yeah, a lot of that does come down to the design. Obviously, it's a wide car, also quite a long car as well. And yeah, with this glass rear end, which contributes to 37% of the body surface being glass, which is a huge amount, is obviously adding weight as well, because as you can see, they're curved, and they're obviously going to be the kind of glass back in the 70s that was quite heavy, and yeah, that adds to the weight. So yeah, from a design perspective, it completely stumbles the compact area, and also the idea of it being an economy car. And to add to that is the engine. Now, there were two different three engines available, two of which was a 3.8 litre inline 6 engine and a 5 litre V8, but this version is the 4.2 litre inline 6, which produces 120 horsepower and 212 pound-feet of torque, which is not a lot for such a sizable engine, and because it's obviously a sizable engine, it's not going to be all that economical. Now, the smaller 3.8 was quite economical, about 22 miles per gallon apparently, but that's still not great, especially for something that's supposed to be an economy car. Now, obviously that's going to be better than your V8 limos, etc. from that day, but that is still lacking in compared to the European and Japanese cars of the time. And obviously, to make up for the fact that it wasn't all that powerful from that 3.8, they obviously introduced this 4.2 litre inline 6, which are more powerful, more torque, but obviously even, again, less economical. So yeah, they were trying to dig themselves out of a hole, and they just got deeper and deeper, quite frankly. So yeah, economy wise, flat, quite frankly. And so yeah, neither is it neither is it a compact car, and neither is it an economy car. And to yeah, snooker it again, because it doesn't have all that much power and it has quite a lot of weight, it's not all that much fun to drive either. So yeah, 120 horsepower in a 3,000 pound plus car is not all that great. Though there are some quirky design features. It's got a huge amount of space interior. Look at this front passenger space there. It's actually got more space in the rear than a Lincoln Continental from the time. So yeah, in terms of space interior wise, it's pretty solid, and the doors are actually different in terms of length. As you can see, the driver's side door is shorter than the passenger side door. Apparently that's to help passengers get in and out of the car a lot easier than they would do normally. So yeah, design wise that is pretty neat, though a lot of people just thought that it was badly made for having odd doors. But apart from the passenger interior space, the boot space isn't all that great, as you can see. Especially for a car that's as wide as it is, you would expect more space. But you can fold the rear seats down if you wanted more space in there. And yeah, the X part of this car, it refers to the trim package, where it has vinyl bucket seats, a sports steering wheel, it has a sway bar, manual transmission, exterior chrome features, styled wheels, and Pacer X decals. So yeah, mostly stuff that doesn't make the car go any faster, but the sway bar does obviously help in terms of handling, which is a good thing, because even though this car is quite small, it does help in terms of being quite wide as well for handling wise, and that sway bar helps that as well. So yeah, handling wise for such a car, it isn't the worst, but neither is it the best. But compared to the other kind of cars from that time, like a Pinto for instance, it's a lot better. Though obviously a lot heavier than that car anyway. So yeah, let's take this out onto the circuit and see what it can do. So see you when we get there. Right, let's see what this AMC can do. So yeah, as you can see, not the highest revving engine ever. Not even 5,000 RPM. And yeah, because it only has 120 horsepower, acceleration is not the best, as you can see. It's decent enough in third gear. As soon as you go into fourth, it does slow down quite a fair bit. I'm guessing the fourth gear is more of an economy gear than anything else. Because yeah, God knows they needed all the economy they could get out of a car that weighs this much and has such a big engine. So yeah, acceleration wise, despite the fact that it has that giant inline 6 engine, is not the best. 0 to 16, 15.823 seconds. 0 to 150 seconds, going on to a top speed of 109 miles an hour. Now if you compare that to other cars, especially from Japan and Europe, that is really rather slow. Even a Datsun 510 from 1970 is nearly 2 seconds quicker to 60 and nearly 8 seconds quicker to 100, though it has a slightly lower top speed, but that is still, yeah, not the best acceleration by any means. And yeah, that just kind of brings me to the big problem with this car. They were trying to go for one thing, well, two things, a compact car and an economy car, and then just didn't have the innovation engineering wise to match the innovative looks. Because yeah, it does look really rather unique. There is no other car from that time or ever since, quite frankly, that looks as unique as this does. And yeah, I could get behind the size of it and the looks if it was either a great car to drive with a solid engine, etc., or was a car that you could use every day economically. But you can't do either, because they tried to do one thing, well, they tried to, you know, supplement both areas, and they ended up failing, because they only ever introduced this 4.2 litre inline 6 because plenty of people complained about the lackluster performance from the 3.8, and then they ended up just, like, you know, snookering themselves in the process. They should have just gone for a smaller engine. And it's not like they didn't have access to a smaller engine either. The Gremlin, for instance, which was introduced several years prior to this, had a was available with an Audi VW made 2 litre inline 4. So why they didn't go for something like that, I don't know. And quite frankly, the design itself made it as heavy as it is, that they obviously needed a bigger engine to make up for the weight. So yeah, quite frankly, if they'd have gone for less conventional style, more conventional style should I say, without this giant glass bubble on the rear end, and went for a smaller engine, they would have been onto a winner. But because the styling was a bit controversial at the time, and the power wasn't there, and the economy wasn't there as well, it just fell flat after its first year. Because the excitement was all there in the first year, everyone was like, oh, this is an innovative car, oh, it's really radical styling wise, it's got great interior space, etc. But when it came down to it, it just didn't last. But that's not to say I don't like this car, because I do. I do like it. I can respect them for going for such a unique styling. They could have just gone for a normal styling car like the Ford Pinto, for instance, and just stuck with that. But they dared to go for something different, and even though it probably didn't work out all that well, they still tried. And I can also respect it for them going for the approach of designing a car around four people inside the car, rather than designing the car and then figuring out how to, accommodate for people inside. So yeah, I can respect them for trying, that's for sure. But yeah, it just didn't work out. But handling wise, it's not the worst, thanks to that sway bar, and at least it does have a manual gearbox and rear wheel drive. So if you got the 5 litre V8 version, I'm pretty sure that would have been a solid car to drive, but nowhere near the economy compact kind of car they were going for. Which is why I wish that, hope that they put the AMC Gremlin in this game, because that is a car that is also quite compact. It's actually only a bit longer than a VW Beetle, but the version that was in Forza Motorsport 4 had a 5 litre V8, and that was pretty powerful, far more powerful than this. And yeah, I'd go for that if I was going to choose an AMC that was potent in terms of speed. But if I was going to go for an AMC from that time that was good in terms of economy, go for the AMC Concorde. It's a 4-door saloon that's actually lighter than this car, and was available with that 2 litre VW Audi engine that was on about. So yeah, I just don't feel like their efforts were paid off with engineering wise. Because this inline 6, I'm pretty sure, is the one that's been used in plenty of Jeeps up until the 90s or early 2000s. So yeah, it's an old hat engine that was continued on in a car that really didn't need it. So yeah, worthwhile effort. Good on them for trying, but it really didn't work out. But I am glad it's in the game, because more unique cars like this just make the game more varied and more, fun to discover cars in. And yeah, hopefully we'll see more from AMC or those weird kind of cars from the 70s, and yeah, hopefully spice up the variety on this game even more so. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.